Notre Dame somehow was under the radar until last week's win against USC. Now it appears as though the Irish, if you check out all the national outlets, seem to be all over the radar. Of course, the Irish are 6-1 with quite a healthy resume following a 49-14 blasting of USC in South Bend. We bring in Andrew Hall from Slap the Sign. You got to join him right there for Notre Dame football coverage. Andrew, how are you tonight?
I'm great coming off that victory. All I could be is great.
I expected a close game. The USC talent in play, even though they've played not their best football in recent weeks. Nobody had blown them out. Certainly, they only had a 3-point loss at Washington State.
This was the bright lights again for Notre Dame. And time again, you've seen against Clemson and Stanford, they come up just shy of where they need to be. And, I think they were sick of coming up just shy. So they decided to hand out a decisive victory. So I definitely felt good about their chances, but ultimately I was surprised in how Notre Dame won. I wasn't really surprised that they won, but how they won.
You put me in that same category because had you said, yeah, Notre Dame won a decisive game, I would have said, okay, they won 35-24, still a pretty good ball game, but they showed to be the better team in the fourth quarter. No, they laid it on from the first quarter on. The first several drives, they just dominated on both sides of the ball and certainly took the will out of USC in a 35-point win that was 28-0 before much had transpired in South Bend. Now another difficult task in taking on NC State, not the name brand of USC, but the Wolfpack with an impressive showing since a week 1 loss against South Carolina. And with Clemson losing, certainly the Wolfpack, they have other aspirations outside of non-conference play as they aim to take on Clemson here in a couple of weeks. But certainly looking at their college football playoff aspirations, they have to win out as well. That seems like a lofty goal for such a program, but they're in play as well. So your thoughts about what appears to be a classic strength on strength with Notre Dame's run game. Josh Adams is starting to build a Heisman campaign of sorts, taking on what many consider to be one of the better front sevens in college football, certainly in the front 4 spot with Bradley Chubb leading the Wolfpack up front. Jared Fernandez is one of their top linebackers. He cleans up most of the tackles. So that should be a strength-on-strength matchup.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the best front 4 that Notre Dame will have faced to date, and that includes the number 3 team in the country, Georgia. I mean, when you look at these guys like Bradley Chubb up front, it looks like an SEC defensive line. It doesn't look like a team that I would say many people would probably categorize, as a mid-level ACC team. They've certainly been building up recently with Dave Doran. And it's going to be strength on strength. I think overall the front 7, Georgia's probably a little bit better, probably has a little bit more speed. But you saw how Notre Dame didn't handle that Georgia game very well, rushing for only 55 yards. So it's really going to be probably up to Brandon Wimbush to figure out a way to, again, use his right arm to beat the Wolfpack. A lot of teams are attacking NC State through the air, and I think Notre Dame is going to need to do that. Can they do that? I'm sure they can, but Wimbush's recent success with his accuracy doesn't really lead me to believe that that's a slam dunk.
If you're watching NC State for the first time and you're looking for playmakers on that side of the ball, again, I mentioned Jared Fernandez. He leads the team with 56 tackles. Bradley Chubb is just off the charts if you're looking at guys that get into the backfield with 13 tackles for loss and 6.5 sacks. And Jonathan Alston with 3 interceptions in the defensive backfield for NC State.